past 11 seasons with Joel Embiid been worth it for the Philadelphia 76ers? And I say yes, but I say it with a small caveat. It's been worth it for him to keep them in contention and relevant since 2017. Every single year since about 2017, 2018, they've been considered a force in the East, a contender, and a squad that you don't want to see necessarily late in the season or in the playoffs. Oh, but the fact that Embiid kept on wearing down during the postseason. I do believe his whole career would be judged totally different if one literally miraculous play, one stroke of luck that went outside of the favor of the Sixers and Embiid had gone the other way. And this is all inextricably tied to the 2019 Game 7 buzzer beater by Kawhi Leonard from the corner. When he caught that ball and he's getting chased, doubled out of bounds, leaning back, hoist up a shot with such great elevation that he was able to get it over, right? And it must have hit the rim like 7 or 8 times and bounced out and back in and bounced out again before it fell. That shot changes so drastically what we think about with Joel Embiid and the Sixers, because the reason why we'll never really criticize Giannis Antetokounmpo again is because despite the playoff failures, despite the fall-offs and the big moments where he didn't come up big, he had that 1 year where he won a ring, and we saw him with a broken leg damn near carry the Bucks to a championship against the Suns. That was a great. The reason why we don't even criticize Kawhi Leonard that much, because as unavailable as Embiid has been, go check that dude's track record.
Yeah.
It's been bad. But he has not just the championship with the Spurs, but he has that shot with the Raptors, which turned into a title win. Like, that shot changes everything, because I do believe, and you know, how about this? Let's take a listen back to that shot. Let's take a listen back to Kawhi Leonard draining this shot and forever changing the trajectory of how we think of Kawhi versus Joel Embiid.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Come on.
Game series. Toronto has won.
There is no words to describe. Like, when we talk about the all-time great shots in the NBA, but not just all-time great shots, the shots that literally changed the trajectory of multiple players, multiple stars' careers and their legacies. Think about the players and names involved in that game. Because Kawhi drains that shot and he goes on to win the NBA Finals, right? So this uplifts what we think about with this guy, winning a championship in multiple organizations, one of the few players to do that. How about Ben Simmons, right, who was defending on that play, who we look at as one of the just ultimate disappointments in the NBA? What if Ben Simmons and the Sixers win that game? Kawhi doesn't hit that shot. The Sixers go on to win. The next series is against the Bucks, and the Bucks proved to just not have it in 2019. I do believe they won the first couple of games, and then the Raptors just 4 straight got them out of the way. And we know what happened in the NBA Finals. The Warriors, literally just the tread ran off the tires. Everybody got hurt. The Raptors walked their way into an NBA title. The winner of that game right there that we just listened back to is likely the NBA champion that year. So that would mean that Embiid would have had a ring in 2019. Ben Simmons would have had a ring in 2019. This changed the trajectory of the Miami Heat. Remember, at this point in time, the Miami Heat and Heat culture was I like to say, it was on ICU. It was on life support. You know, it wasn't dead, but it was going to be tough. We had to revive it. You know who else was on the Sixers during that game?
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy freaking Butler. If the Sixers win a title that year, and you know Jimmy, what we know about playoff Jimmy because of what happened after that game and him going to the Heat that offseason, what we know about the way that he elevates his game in the biggest moments and the way he was already doing that for the Sixers in that playoff run, I do believe a championship would have made them rethink prioritizing Tobias Harris over number 22. So that could have kept Jimmy in a Sixers uniform. That would have got Jimmy Butler a ring. That would have had Ben Simmons being called an NBA champion. And more so than anything, as we discuss what the career of Joel Embiid has been today, that would have validated the process. Sam Hinkie's whole process would have turned into what we would have called an experiment that was worthwhile, because Embiid would have led them to a championship. And when you win a ring all else is excused. Because Kawhi hit that miraculous shot, now 5 years later, we look back on all of the players involved in that series in a totally different light. Kyle Lowry might not be called the greatest Raptor. He might not have his jersey and everything, hanging out of the rafters out there and whatever the hell they call that arena in Toronto.
We had more years of the Drake curse.
The Drake curse. The Drake curse would have lived on forever. Some people thought that broke the Drake curse.
Exactly.
So there's so many different things that spawn from that one very shot, which is why I say it's one of the 5 most pivotal shots in the history of the NBA. One of the biggest things it did was it allowed Joel Embiid's record, his career, and his experience with the Sixers to feel underwhelming despite his ability to be one of the greatest and most dominant players in the game. As we stand here today, was the Joel Embiid experience worth it for the Philadelphia 76ers? Them drafting him in 2014, knowing he was an injury risk, knowing that there was nothing they could technically do to promise he'd be a franchise superstar, but he still elevated to that, and now we're seeing the downtroddenness of it. Was it all worth it? I say yes, but with a caveat, because I do agree if you don't get a championship out of it, there's something left on the bone, but that caveat is all tied to that shot that Kawhi Leonard hit. What a crazy, crazy turn of events. Hit us up on the